Hi everyone, so we're going to finish up our circulatory system today. What I did want to start with was just a review of our different passages and how air is moving through our system here. So again, when we start to inhale, we start in the nasal cavity or in the oral cavity. That air is going to be brought down to our pharynx. Remember, that is our throat. It'll pass through our larynx, which is our voice box, going into our trachea. So from our trachea, we're going to be divided into two sides, our bronchial tubes here, and those are going to go to each side of the lung. Within the lung here, we see the bronchi, which are the large branches. And then the little branches here are going to be the bronchioles, which finally lead to our alveolar sac, where we're going to see that blood, that gas exchange in our blood through our capillaries here. So oxygen is going to be coming out of our alveoli, and carbon dioxide is going to be going in. So once that carbon dioxide goes into our alveoli, we're going to see the exhale process happen, and that's going to move from our alveoli here up to our bronchiole, into our bronchi, which are the larger branches, into our bronchial tubes on both sides, into our trachea, up through the larynx and the pharynx, and then going to be exhaled through either the nose or the mouth here. So with that being said, how is this process going to happen? So we know that the lungs are not made up of any muscle tissue. So what we're going to need is some assist from this muscle right here called the diaphragm. So the diaphragm is connected directly to these lungs, and as it contracts, we are going to see that movement of air. So let's go through that process. So again, because the lungs do not have any muscles, breathing is done by the diaphragm and the rib muscles. So again, lungs are not a muscle, so we need the diaphragm and rib muscles to help us breathe. So how is that going to happen? Well, to start, the diaphragm is going to contract and move down, which increases our lung capacity here. That's going to be the process of inhaling as that diaphragm contracts. The rib muscles are also going to contract and lift the rib cage. And this is going to make our chest cavity larger. So as that capacity, that volume increases, we know by our rule of pressures, our pressure is then going to decrease in our lungs. So remember, once volume increases, we're going to see pressure decrease. And since now the pressure inside of our lungs is lower than the pressure in the environment around us, that is going to bring air in to our lungs. So again, volume of our chest increases. That means the pressure needs to decrease. That decrease in pressure is lower than the atmospheric pressure, which is going to bring air into the lungs. The next thing that's going to happen is we're going to go through all of those systems, all the way down to the alveoli, where we're going to see gas exchange happen in the capillaries. So wastes are going to go out like carbon dioxide, and oxygen is going to go into the blood. And then we start our process of exhaling. So when the diaphragm begins to relax, it's going to cause that chest cavity to become smaller in that process of exhaling. So now we see that the volume is decreasing here. So that means the pressure is going to increase to higher than the atmospheric pressure, and that's going to push the air out of our lungs. So those pressures are really important. So we know when that chest becomes bigger, with our diaphragm contracting and our rib muscles contracting, we're going to have a larger volume, which means a decrease in pressure. The pressure is lower inside the lungs than outside, so that means that air is going to move in. So that is for inhaling. But when we exhale, the chest cavity is becoming smaller, so the volume is decreasing, causing the pressure to increase higher than the atmospheric pressure on the outside, and that is going to push the air out of our lungs. So that's really the basic process of how we are breathing and that movement here. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I'll see you next time.